5'10", pale skin, long legs, a girl who didn't fit my type. She leaned on my desk, declaring her feelings, but I was just focused on my painting. I turned her down flat. I was already running late for a blind date my mom set up, but when I blinked, I was suddenly sprawled out on the school court. Vincent, hi. Kianjin, you finally woke up. You scared me to death, man. If you hadn't come to, I would have called an ambulance. You okay? A guy with short hair and a soccer ball hurried over, looking deeply apologetic. Who kicks like that? Are you blind, Kianjin? I shouted without a second thought. The kid, who was a head taller, leaned in even closer, looking mortified. I am so sorry, seriously. A crowd was already starting to form around us. I slowly pulled myself up from the ground, shook my head to tell the guy I was fine, and walked off, calling for Kianjin. Classes just ended. The hallway was loud, packed with students joking around. But when two tall girls stepped out of the classroom, the noise just died. Every eye turned. Everyone was staring at Suyoan. She was the campus crush, the girl every other girl loved to hate. Suddenly, a long-haired student came sprinting by. Down the stairs. Listen, I just saw Kianjin get hit by a ball, but he seems fine. Bummer, I was just about to go help him. Suyoan, who was, hearing that, let out a soft, barely audible sigh of relief. She looked at Liu Yao beside her and said, Yao, I can't head to the bathroom with you. In the third-year row by the window, I sat flipping through books. In my past life, despite scoring 287, my grades held me back from art school. I couldn't get into the top academy I wanted. The bell rang, the classroom noise settled, but the peace lasted seconds before a girl burst into the room. Seeing this tall, pretty girl, 70% of the guys looked stunned, 30% jealous. As for the girls, they just glared with pure hostility. Suyoan ignored everyone, trotted over to me, and dropped a plastic bag on my desk. Looking into her beautiful eyes, I asked, totally confused, what is this? Why are you giving me this? She wouldn't meet my gaze, just pointed at the bag in my hand. Medicine for the swelling. Then she spun around to leave. She didn't give me a chance to say no. I never accepted anything from girls anyway. I quickly called out Suyoan. She stopped, hoping I'd return the meds. She paused, thinking, I wish I'd just walked away. Suyoan, how are you this clumsy at the worst time? The next second I held up the bag and said, thanks. The happiness hit her so fast she froze. Then a smile bloomed on her face, radiant as a rose at sunset. It meant we were one step closer. Are you even in our class? I'm just here to borrow something. I'm heading out now. Suyoan headed back to her class, feeling great. 45 minutes later, I got up and walked over to the school art studio. We have to be there for the last two classes of the morning and afternoon. 10 minutes later, Professor Liu walked in and assigned some sketches. She checked in on us periodically, but when Liu leaned over Kianjin's shoulder, she was stunned. Most students hadn't finished one sketch, but Kim had already finished two, and they were visually perfect. Even knowing Kianjin had talent, this was too much. It was like he was a monster. Seeing Liu's reaction, I made up an excuse. Professor Liu, I already drew these sketches before. Liu looked a little more relieved, but she was still floored by the artistic talent I'd shown. When night fell, as an art student, I could skip the evening study session. It was more efficient to study at home than in a classroom where people stared at me like a circus act. Getting home, I zipped open my bag and felt the plastic, so I took out the medicine and dabbed a bit on my forehead. A cooling sensation spread out. One morning, Suyoan paced back and forth in front of the school shop, occasionally looking down the road. Suddenly, she pulled out a mirror, fixed her hair, and hurried toward the gate. Oh, Kianjin, what a coincidence. I just got here and ran into you. Suyoan feigned surprise and greeted me. I looked at Suyoan, her chest rising slightly from running. I just gave a slight nod. She had tried to force encounters with Kianjin before, but it never went well. He just ignored her. But yesterday, he took the medicine, and that gave her confidence back. Seeing Kianjin acting so distant with strangers, Suyoan didn't give up. She took the lead and asked, how is your forehead now? I slowed my pace and looked at her. I'm grateful. Thanks to the medicine you gave me, it's much better, really. Suyoan's bright, almond-shaped eyes widened. She didn't expect him to actually use the medicine. That's great. Kianjin, you got here so early. You must have skipped breakfast. I bought too much. Take this strawberry cake. No thanks. I already ate at home. It's fine, just keep it for break. She shoved the cake into my hand. I'm off to class. Bye. She ran off toward the building without looking back. Suyoan reached the classroom, the corners of her eyes lifting. She gazed out the window, distracted. Yesterday, the medicine, today the cake. This way, the connection between her and Kianjin would only grow. The boys in class kept glancing over, wondering why, but they realized the campus flower, Suyoan, looked even prettier than usual. After two classes, the long break started. Everyone hit the yard. 5 minutes later they were done. I'm exhausted. Kianjin, let's go. If you're going to the shop, my treat. Behind her, Suyoan linked arms with Liu Yao and followed. Inside the shop, Kianjin, what do you want to drink? Give me a cola. Sure. I took the soda Kianjin bought me. Leaning against the shop wall, I cracked it open and started drinking. Inside, Suyoan looked like she was choosing ice cream, but her eyes were always on Kianjin outside. Just pick something. You getting ice cream or not? Liu Yao nudged her. Suyoan snapped too. This flavor, I tried it yesterday, it's really good. She pulled out a 10 yuan bill with the ice cream and handed it to Liu Yao. I'm treating today, can you pay? At least you have a conscience. I'll take it reluctantly. Liu Yao snorted, took the ice cream, and walked to the register. Then Suyoan quickly pulled her phone out, opened the camera, and aimed it at Kianjin, ready to snap a photo. But just as she hit the button, I looked right at her. My mind went totally blank. The camera was still pointed at Kianjin. Why was he staring at me? I shouldn't be feeling this panicked. I usually hate secret photos, but seeing Suyoan was the one taking them gave me a weird happy little buzz. Suyoan was still. She struggled with the awkward moment, but when she saw me approaching, she panicked and shoved her phone into her pocket. I smiled to myself. That's better. I walked up to her, already knowing the truth. So what were you doing? Oh, I think I got sand in my eye. She clutched her phone, unsure if her excuse sounded believable. Her palms were sweating. Oh, really? I thought you were snapping secret photos of me. Her pale skin flushed. She dropped her head, guilty looking. How could she not? I knew she was lying. Those nerves don't fool anyone, though I didn't call her out. I just walked past and headed toward Kianjin. She watched my back as I moved away, exhaling a huge sigh of relief. Then, she quickly pulled out her phone to check it. I watched Liu Yao, a third-year student, casually eating his salad while scrolling. Suddenly he looked up, eyes widening. He nudged Xiaoyan with his elbow. Look at the Kusan confession board, he muttered. Jianjin is up again. Xiaoyan heard that and he jumped, instantly leaning toward Liu Yao. It was a screenshot of a chat with Kianjin, who sat eating in the cafeteria, buried under dozens of comments. Angin really knows how to grab attention. No need to rush. Honestly, some mean girl will eventually steal him away. 5 minutes later, there I was, gasping at the entrance. Her arrival at the cafe turned heads, but her delicate melon-seed face fell in disappointment when she saw Jianjin was gone. Suyoan wandered down the hall, distracted, until she suddenly bumped into someone. Her eyes went wide when she recognized him. Her disappointment vanished, replaced by shock. She whispered Jianjin. I didn't show it, but inside I couldn't help but sigh. How could she be so clumsy, walking upstairs without looking? Suddenly she reached out to check my chest, asking if I was hurt. You're worried? Are you okay? I didn't know you could be this cute. Hearing the word cute felt strange. To deflect, I asked if she was okay. Just as Suyoan was about to say yes, she seemed to remember something and changed her mind. She turned and said, actually, yes, something happened. I was only being polite to hide my nerves. I didn't expect her to actually be hurt. Seeing my confusion, Suyoan raised a soft hand to her forehead, looking pitiful. She said, my forehead hurts a little. I was about to speak, but she cut me off. Just kidding, I'm fine. Her clear laughter rang out. I snapped back to reality and muttered, how boring. I turned and headed down the stairs. Once I was out of sight, Suyoan giggled and happily skipped toward her classroom. You sat in a quiet corner of the library, staring at the strawberry cake in your hand. Uninvited, that delicate face popped into your mind. As Suyoan approached, my heart raced for no reason, a feeling entirely new to me. I shook it off, grabbing a spoonful of strawberry cake. I took a bite. Sweet, overwhelmingly sweet. Back home that night, Mom greeted me warmly. She looked at me and frowned. You look so thin. You were round-faced this morning. I made braised pork trotters. Are you sure you made them? Did you buy them somewhere? I caught on. Mom wanted to cook, but that recipe is a nightmare. I answered quickly, finished dinner, and bolted to my art studio. Looking around at this space that held my youth, I sat before the easel. Soon, the scratching sound of my pencil filled the silence. 10 minutes later, a faint blush touched my pale face. On the paper sat a slender girl. I took a deep breath, shook my head, shoved the drawing in a drawer, and left. 6 the next morning, I reached school as usual. What a surprise. At the school gate, I ran into Suyoan again. Still in that blue uniform, still just as pretty. What a coincidence. I glanced at her, then quickly looked away, nodding a slight greeting. Near the classroom building, Suyoan pulled a white bottle from her bag. I brought an extra yogurt today, she said. I didn't mean to, but here, have it. She pressed it straight into my hand, eyes curving into smiles, then turned and ran toward the building. By the time I snapped out of it, she was gone. I smiled, heading for the stairs in a great mood. A cake yesterday, yogurt today, what was she up to? As soon as I sat in class 5, Hyungjin came sprinting over. Hyungjin, have you seen the school confession board? He shoved my chair back and sat down, looking pumped. I never checked that thing, and honestly, I barely open the messaging app anyway. It's just constant annoying pings from friends. Such a shame. Something huge happened yesterday, you want to hear it? Hyungjin teased, trying to hook me. If you don't want to, fine. I need to study a vocabulary, I replied, showing zero interest in his games. Fine, I'll tell you. Suyoan, the one who hit you with that ball? Yesterday, she stormed into class 1 with scissors to settle the score. Word is she almost stabbed Zoe Bowen, but settled for shredding his soccer ball instead. Seriously? A shame, that was a decent ball. Even if the rumor was exaggerated, I felt an unexplainable spark of joy inside. Over in class 8, do you want to go to the bathroom? I'll go with you. I don't want to, I shook my head, but Suyoan acted like she didn't hear me, standing up ready to leave. No, you want to. Seeing Suyeon's pretty face, unable to hide her intentions, I felt helpless. Yeah, you want to. Suyeon smiled, grabbed my arm, and we walked out. She kept a fast pace until we passed class 5. Then her speed dropped to a crawl. I looked at my friend's senseless grin and shook my head. Love struck. Oh, what is that guy with the yellow hair doing, blocking our path? Suyeon pursed her lips, clearly annoyed. I turned my head in the classroom, peering down the hall, and locked eyes with Suyeon instantly. She pulled away, hesitant and jittery. I looked at Jianjun beside me and said coolly, "You weren't heading to the bathroom? What is going on? You said no a second ago. Why the sudden change?" Suyoan stood nervously outside the classroom, wondering why she felt so tense just passing by. But when she looked toward the room, she froze. How is Heingen out here? He ignored her completely, brushing past her, leaving her stunned. Lu Yao tugged Suyan's arm, bringing her back to reality. Seeing me about to leave, she rushed over and called out. I stopped, turned, and asked, in a flat tone, "What is it?" Meeting my indifferent gaze, she stumbled over her words before finally blurting out, "Good morning, freshman." I was caught off guard, then gave a slight nod. The air turned awkward. To ease the tension, Suyan greeted Jianjun, who was standing right there at my side. Jianjun gave a goofy grin and nodded, then nudged me to say something. I looked at him. "Didn't you say you were going to the bathroom?" I walked toward the stairs. Jianjun shot Suyan an apologetic smile and caught up to me. "Hey man, not trying to lecture you, but Suyan stood up for you." She popped Zoe Bowen's ball. "If you won't be grateful, the least you could do is speak to her. It's obvious she's into you. Just go to the bathroom." "Why are you so stubborn?" I said, feeling impatient. Jianjun mumbled something bored and ducked into the south bathroom. Once he was gone, I headed up the stairs. Suyan stood on the landing, her bright flirty eyes looking distracted, as if lost in thought. She turned and saw Jianjun already beside her, without her even noticing. "Yesterday you took scissors, went to class 1, and popped that Thao Bowen's ball. You know about that?" The next second he stared at me. With a soft voice he said, "Actually, I'm really sweet. I just wanted to get back at them for Hyengen, but some villain saw me and posted it on the confession board." The rumor kept spiraling. After returning to class, her words, "You are very kind," kept echoing in my head. My lips curled up involuntarily. On Sunday, under the indoor lights, Suyan walked arm in arm with Lu Yao through boutique after boutique. "What do you think? Will he like this, Lu Yao?" She made a face of discomfort. "Look, if you want his opinion, just invite him out and ask him." "I already sent him a friend request on QQ, but he won't accept." "Xiao Yao, why is that?" Lu Yao twisted her mouth. She just said it to talk, not expecting Suyan to be so serious. "Xiao Yao, why are you so quiet? If your tooth hurts, I'll take you to the dental clinic first." "It's nothing. I just don't feel like talking to you right now. You are truly hopeless." A new week began, and I stayed in my usual rhythm. School at 6 in the morning, home by 6 in the evening. Life felt full. The only odd thing was that Suyan seemed to have vanished. We hadn't run into each other once. She used to appear right in front of me constantly, but now she was suddenly gone. That left me a bit puzzled. In the third year class 8, Suyan stared out the window for minutes, then said dejectedly, "Does this actually work, your method?" "Don't worry, I promise it works. I just read a romance novel full of tricks to win over guys, and I've mastered them all. Tell me, is there a chance he won't like me at all? If so, what is the point of playing hard to get?" Lu Yao stayed silent. In her mind, for a girl as pretty as Xiao Yao, no guy could possibly resist. "No way. I think it's better to take the initiative and keep control in my own hands. That's more reliable." In my third year, PE classes were optional, so I stayed in the classroom solving problems. 2 minutes later, Jianjun rushed in, grabbed me and dragged me to the court. Passing by the third year class 8 room, I slowed down and glanced aside. Where is she? Does she have PE class right now too? Day after day, don't just sit there. Go out, walk, relax, don't you think? Beside me, Jianjun pointed excitedly toward the badminton court and shouted at a slender figure. However, before she could even answer, Suyan had already spotted me from outside the court and came running over. "You have PE right now too?" Suyan barely hid her expression, her eyes arched in happy surprise. I looked at her, my palms slightly sweaty, and my expression remained cold, even though I was quite happy inside. "Want to come play badminton?" Suyan asked expectantly. I stayed silent for a moment. "Sorry." I shook my head and replied, "I don't know how to play." Hearing that, Suyan showed no disappointment. Instead, she smiled and said, "That's fine, I can teach you." Hearing this, Jianjun immediately pushed me toward the court. What a joke! Being taught personally by her, that's something most guys would kill for. Suyan, who followed, silently gave Jianjun a thumbs up. "Xiao Yao, you've been playing for so long, aren't you tired? Take a break. You're such a traitor for love." Lu Yao gently touched her forehead and handed her the racket. "Here, take this." Suyan gave me her racket while she used Lu Yao's. I weighed the badminton racket a few times. My first impression was that it felt pretty light. Looking at my hand, we'll start with how to grip the racket. Suyan quickly shifted into teaching mode. 10 minutes later, I had the basics of badminton down. Then we moved to rallying. Even though Suyan kept hitting the birdie to me, she placed every shot in the easiest spot for me to return. I don't know if she missed on purpose or by accident, but she let a shot I returned go past her. "You're getting better every time," she said with a radiant smile. Hearing her, I rarely felt a bit shy. Seeing this, Suyan suddenly let out a giggle. "Xiao Yao, come play with Jianjun for a bit. I'm going to the bathroom." Before leaving, she reminded Lu Yao specifically, "When you play, be gentle. Let Jianjun take more shots." 5 minutes later, Suyan returned with a bag of mineral water. "Here, have some water and take a break." I looked at the sweat on Suyan's forehead and the water in her hand. Suddenly, as if I understood something, my heart felt like it had been hit by an electric shock. A tingle rushed through my entire body. Suyan walked over, beaming, and held out a bottle. "Thanks." I took the water, sat on the bench, tipped my head back, and took big gulps, finishing half the bottle. Suyoan sat down naturally beside me with her own water, mimicking my way of drinking. The next second she choked, hunched over, and coughed several times. "Hey, don't drink so fast," I said with a hint of annoyance. A few seconds later, she gathered her courage and looked at me. "Hyunjin, why didn't you accept my QQ request? Too many messages." I uninstalled it. "Give me your phone, let's add each other on WeChat." A minute later, Suyoan was hugging her phone, giggling like a flower blooming after a sudden rain. She was beaming. Later, we both went to the court to play badminton until class ended. Suyoan looked like she wanted more. "Why did it end so fast? I haven't had enough." "Here is your racket," I said, crossing the net to hand it to her. "What do you think?" "Is badminton fun?" Suyoan asked, smiling. "It is all right," I replied. An honest answer. In my past life, I never had free time for sports. This time, playing badminton with Suyoan actually felt pretty fun. Of course, a small part of it also depends on who you play with. Hearing my response, Suyoan blinked. "Do you want to play again? Contact me then." The rest of the day, Suyoan was in a great mood. A radiant smile always graced her delicate face, like a little girl. "What should I say in my first message to Hyunjin so that he remembers me deeply?" Lu Yao asked. After thinking a few seconds with bright eyes, she said, "Just tell him how you feel. He will surely remember you. Won't it be too much?" "What if I scare him off?" Suyoan asked, looking embarrassed. Actually, inside she couldn't stop smiling. The idea was great, but if I fail the confession, we might lose the friendship. I'd better think about it myself. Suyoan rested her chin on her hands, her clear eyes lost in thought. That night, after practicing dancing, Suyoan got home past 10. After a bath, she sat on the couch and called the cat. Instantly, a small white cat appeared from nowhere and climbed onto her lap. "Suyoan, I got Hyunjin's WeChat today." She lifted the cat with a faint smile. She actually likes Hyunjin, and this cute cat also has a deep connection. Before, Hyunjin used to take care of this cat. At that moment, her expression was filled with a tender smile, different from at school. This sparked her curiosity. She tried getting close to Hyunjin, but he always had a cold bull face, and ignored her without a doubt. This awakened her competitive spirit. Perhaps because boys had never rejected her before, she discovered with surprise that she actually liked him. Later, the kitten was going to be kicked out of the park and Hyunjin wasn't around, so she adopted it. Since then, she never found a chance to tell Hyunjin about the cat, so she ended up raising it. Back to the present, Suyoan petted the cat. "Good night." At 6:30, I arrived at school as usual, but that slender figure still hadn't appeared. I couldn't help but feel a bit disappointed. Maybe tomorrow I'll arrive 15 minutes early to see. I shook my head and entered. In the classroom, I hadn't even sat down when I saw yogurt and bread on the desk. Whenever I saw these, I'd give them to the classmate in front. However, picking up the yogurt, I saw a sticky note on the back. "I accidentally brought too much breakfast today, so I'm leaving it for you. It shouldn't be wasted." It seems my assumption was wrong. It wasn't that Suyoan hadn't arrived late, but that I had arrived before Anjin. I felt great. The disappointment I felt at the school entrance vanished completely. I wonder if Hyunjin drank the yogurt I gave him. Suyoan, hand on her chin, looked out the window. "Hey Xiaoyuan, you look like a hopelessly love-struck girl," Lu Yao said with disdain. "What are you looking at?" Without moving in the hallway, Hyunjin is standing there, looking at Suyoan in the classroom. They watched each other for a few seconds. Finally, Hyunjin was the first to give in, looked away, and kept walking. "Guys, I'm going out for a moment." Suyoan bolted out of the classroom. At the first floor vending machine, I tapped the screen and a bottle of water fell. "What do you want to drink?" I turned my head to Suyoan, who was by my side. "I'll do the same as you. I'll take a bottle of mineral water too." Her expression was a bit nervous. It had fallen from the machine. "Thanks for the breakfast. This is for you, in return for your breakfast. How is it? Is it tasty?" I drank the yogurt. Suyoan's pale face showed surprise, her tone firmer. Hyunjin nodded slightly and replied, "It's fine. So, do you like today's natural yogurt, or do you prefer another flavor?" Suyoan's clear eyes reflected curiosity. "Natural is fine." I was silent for 2 seconds, then replied, "Then tomorrow I'll bring you natural yogurt again," Suyoan said with joy. Hearing this, Hyunjin paused in his step and turned to look at her, asking in an unusually mocking tone, "And tomorrow, are you going to bring an extra bottle by mistake again?" Finishing the sentence, Suyoan's cheeks flushed. That was just her excuse to give Hyunjin yogurt, and she knew he understood. But being said by him in that teasing tone, it felt as if her lie had been discovered. We went from the 1st to the 5th floor, but neither felt tired. They even felt like continuing. Passing by grade 8, class 3, I saw Suyoan still following me, so I reminded her kindly. I know. Today I am on duty. I go through the front door to clean the board." I looked at the board through the window. It was very clean, but I said nothing and kept walking. When she realized the board was too clean, Suyoan's face showed a bitter smile. She covered her face in embarrassment. The board didn't cooperate. In the 3rd and 4th period, Lucia announced something important. "Starting next week, we are going abroad for a 15-day outdoor painting practice." When the news broke, most of the students in the class got excited, but they just wanted to go out and have fun. The painting was just a bonus, which is why they were so thrilled. After lunch, I usually return to class, read for a while, and take a nap. Just as I stepped into the classroom, Suyoan immediately entered behind me, ignoring the stares from other girls, and sat beside me. Why are you following me? I'm going to review. I turned to look at Suyoan, who looked like a sticky shadow, and asked, I am going to review too. Your class has a good atmosphere. This study area is quieter and suitable for reviewing, she said, pulling a book from a tall pile and placing it on her chest. I admit the class is quiet, but regarding the study atmosphere, let's just say those who know. Don't you see the girls looking at us? You're lying shamelessly. Finally, I gave in and took out the math simulation exam the teacher had just given and started working on it, but my heart felt restless. As for Suyoan beside me, she said she was reviewing, but actually she was resting her white chin on one hand and staring fixedly at Kianjin. He, taking the exam seriously, gave off a cold and elegant aura. His clear skin, his handsome profile, his high nose, he was really nice to look at. The next moment, she couldn't hold back and without realizing it, moved her chair a bit closer. As a result, her elbow gently brushed Hyungjin's arm. That cold and soft sensation made her lower her head hurriedly while opening the book quickly, pretending to have a calm expression. A bit nervous, a bit sweet. Although I was focused on the problems, I still felt that soft and delicate touch. I turned my head looking at Suyoan, who had a guilty expression, but I ignored it. When she felt my gaze finally disappear, Suyoan let out a sigh of relief. She stayed by my side, quietly watching me. I finished the final question at 2 in the afternoon, my wrist feeling stiff. Turning my head, I saw her delicate face. Her eyes were closed, leaning toward me, as if she had fallen asleep watching me. Class was starting soon, so I nudged her. She blinked, rubbing her eyes. This desk is so comfortable, she whispered. I was confused. She wanted to sleep here? Are all school desks not the same? Kianjin, can you save me this spot? From now on, I will bring you breakfast every day. If you stay silent, I will consider it a deal. Class is starting, I have to go. Goodbye, she cheered and ran off. I wanted to refuse, but this was my chance. Not only could I be with her, but I finally had a perfect excuse to bring her breakfast. I am clever. I chuckled as she disappeared, then quickly regained my usual cold, distant expression. A week flew by in a blur. She appeared by my side more often. Rumors spread that we were a couple. In class, she wore a ponytail. An aura of pure charm. She rested her chin on her hand, staring out the window. Liu Yawu nudged her arm. Stop daydreaming. You look like a devoted wife. I already am, she replied, her face blooming like a sunset rose. 2 days until the national holiday. Where are you going? I am going to Jichen to find Jinjin, she said. Liu Yao was silent, teeth gritted, screaming internally. What did Jianjin do in his past life to deserve her? In the ancient town of Farong, I navigated the crowds toward the waterfall. Many girls glanced my way, but I didn't care. Painting outdoors, her face kept appearing in my mind. It felt like I had been bitten by a slow-acting poison. I counted my group, returned to my room, and checked my phone. I saw messages she had sent earlier that day. Found a great pizza place. I will take you when you finish painting. I quickly typed back, feeling guilty. Sorry, just got back and missed your message. I have time to try it. Jianjin, are you still sketching the mangrove? No, I am at Farong. This town hangs right over a waterfall. The night view is gorgeous. Take a photo for me? I paused, then opened the window, found the perfect angle, and snapped the shot. So beautiful. I want to see it. You must be tired. Get some sleep. Good night. I didn't move from the window. The cold night air cleared my head. For days, she never failed to send me morning and night greetings. I never knew how to answer those messages. I usually didn't dare to reply, but tonight I finally sent a goodnight back. She giggled, phone in hand, before drifting off. That day she was distracted, smiling to herself. Just after the final bell, she traveled 3 hours to reach the town. The orange sky had turned dark. She needed a place to stay. She hoped to invite me out if I were awake. I had just returned to my room. Seeing her good morning message from 6 a.m., a smile touched my lips. Suddenly, the twilight glow over Farong vanished, replaced by a heavy downpour. The storm caught her completely off guard. She took shelter under a small eave, barely wide enough for one. She didn't even have time to grab her gear. The rain was fierce. I paced my room, tossing on my bed, then walked to the window. I could not sleep. I saw a slim silhouette huddled in the distance. I was almost certain it was her. Why is she out without an umbrella? It is freezing tonight, she gasped at the cold air. Hearing a familiar voice, she looked up, shocked. How are you here? Her mind went blank. What are you thinking? You are soaked. You will catch a cold. I handed her my jacket. Rain clung to her face, making her look incredibly fragile. She took the jacket, feeling a sudden warmth spread through her. She felt a hint of resentment and wanted to vent, but the rain worsened. Come to my place, I said calmly. She nodded without hesitation. Being invited to my room thrilled her. Then she paused, self-conscious. She smoothed her hair, voice nervous. Do I look ugly? I was speechless. If you stand there like a fool, I am leaving. Wait! She ran under my umbrella. Our hands brushed against the handle, and she pulled away instantly, giggling nervously. She followed me to the guest house. She scanned the room with curious eyes. It was simple, but I kept it spotless. I pulled out a chair, signaling for her to sit, and poured her a glass of warm water. She was about to sit, but paused, eyes narrowing. Jianjin, why are your clothes wet? I froze for a second. I made up a lie. The wind flipped my umbrella. In truth, I had shielded her the entire walk. You say it flipped? Then why is only the right side of your clothes soaked? I tossed her some tissues. Dry your hair. I turned the tables on her. She stopped asking. She knew the truth. She was terrified that I might get sick, but since I would not admit it, she let it go. She took the tissues and began drying her long, wet hair. Seeing her pale neck and collarbones, I quickly looked away. She quickly feigned indifference. I can't reach the hair at the back.
Could you help me, Suyoan?
She suddenly turned, asking boldly. My eyelids fluttered. I couldn't help but glance at her delicate collarbones again. Well, my clothes are soaked. I need to change first. She watched me rummaging through my suitcase, asking excitedly if I needed a hand. Just keep drying off. Don't worry about me, I told her quickly. I grabbed some clothes and bolted to the bathroom. Am I a demon? Are you that scared of me? Seeing Kianjin so rattled was a first. It was quite something. It looked pretty nice in the bathroom. After changing, I splashed my face, hoping to calm down. But the second I stepped out, Suyoan was right there, circling me. She complimented the outfit, said it looked better than the last one. I took a slow breath, trying to keep my voice steady. The rain stopped. I should take you somewhere to stay. You planning on kicking me out already? Suyoan pouted, acting hurt. I was stunned. What do you mean, kick you out? You actually thinking of staying here? If I can sleep on the floor. I'm a quiet sleeper, I promise. She looked at me with those hopeful eyes. Look, are you leaving or not? You really want to end up on the street? All right then, I appreciate you helping me find a place. How about this? I'll treat you to breakfast tomorrow as a thank you. With the National Day holidays here, they searched for over half an hour until they finally found a nearby hotel with space. Once he finished showering, the first thing he did was bolt for the couch and grab it. I checked my phone impatiently, hoping for a message from Kianjin. Seeing my goodnight text, Suyoan's clear eyes lit up instantly. If I recall, this was the second time. Her excitement faded to a pout. She'd already said goodnight, and there was so much left to say. I needed to talk to him. Back inside, I poured a glass of warm water to thaw out. I'd been soaked for hours. I just hoped Suyoan wouldn't catch a cold. An hour had passed. Had Kianjin woken up yet? Suyoan leaned against the hostel door, counting on her fingers. Suddenly a boy appeared. He walked down the stairs and headed straight for Suyoan, asking if she was the one. She was confused. She didn't want to answer, but out of habit she did. The boy smiled. He told her he was out painting with Kianjin and asked if she'd been waiting long. He offered to go find him for her. Suyoan's eyes sparkled. She thanked him profusely, touched by his kindness. A minute later, I appeared on the stairs, leaning on the railing, looking pale. Suyoan rushed over and reached out to touch my forehead, her face full of worry. She asked if I was sick and if I had a fever. I waved her off, saying it was just a minor cold. But the next second I started coughing violently. She saw it all. Suyoan grabbed my arm immediately, her expressions tight with concern. She insisted on taking me to the hospital. I shook my head, refusing. I told her I'd be fine with some cold medicine. She got angry and demanded I go to the hospital with her, or she wouldn't let me go. As she spoke, she leaned closer. It was the boldest move she'd ever made. I couldn't change her mind, so I gave in for 30 minutes. Years later, at the old city hospital of Furong. Sit here a moment. I'll get you registered, Suyoan said, her voice soft as she looked at me in the waiting room. I watched her walk away, a faint smile touching my lips. When you're sick, it's not so bad having someone by your side. By the time we got to the hostel, it was past midnight. After 2 IV drips for my fever, I felt much better. I lay down for a while, then sat up and grabbed my sketchbook and pencils from my bag. Before long, a slender figure took shape on the paper. 10 minutes later, the door creaked open. I quickly shoved the pad under my pillow and acted indifferent, staring at my phone. Suyoan walked in carrying a paper bag. Come eat, she said, pulling out 2 takeout containers. Since you're sick, the doctor said something light is best. So, I got you pumpkin porridge. Even if you don't like it, eat it anyway. Why are you having the same thing? Why didn't you get something you actually wanted? I asked, surprised. Can't I eat it too? Suyoan widened her beautiful, peach-shaped eyes, pouting. In truth, she was dying to have the fish with osmanthus flowers. But since I was sick and restricted to bland food, she chose to eat exactly what I had for lunch. I didn't say a word. I lowered my head and took a spoonful of the porridge. Even if she didn't admit it, I could guess. What a silly girl. A few minutes later, Suyoan cleared away the trash and poured me a glass of warm water. I took a sip. It's National Day out there. The energy is amazing. If you aren't busy, you could go for a walk. It's not easy to make it all the way out here. Are you already trying to kick me out? Suyoan's clear eyes went wide with disbelief. Do you see me as nothing more than a tool? Seeing she'd misunderstood, I hurried to explain. I'm just tired. I need to rest for a bit. Then go to sleep, Suyoan replied with a radiant smile. She knew I wasn't that kind of person, so she had no intention of leaving. My face went cold. I'd already said I wanted to sleep. Why was she still here? Did she plan to watch me? Just then, Suyoan seemed to realize something and tapped her chest. Relax, I won't do anything while you sleep, she said, sounding resigned. Whatever you want, she murmured and settled onto the bed. The drowsiness I'd felt before had nearly vanished, but with my permission, Suyoan pulled up a chair. She immersed herself in her phone, or so it seemed. It was a calculated strategy, a way to keep me from feeling stared at, so I could drift off to sleep. Seeing her hunched over her phone, I slowly relaxed. My eyelids grew heavy, and soon enough I fell asleep. An hour later, when I woke up, I saw Suyoan sleeping beside me. A soft breeze drifted through the window, lifting strands of hair against her neck. She looked effortlessly, hauntingly beautiful. It was a sight I'd never forget. I couldn't resist grabbing my sketchbook and pencil from under the pillow to capture the moment. I slid out of bed, grabbed a jacket, and moved toward her. She looked even more radiant in sleep. I gently draped the jacket over her shoulders. Her long lashes fluttered. A second later, her clear eyes opened. She looked at me, dazed, and whispered, "Kianjin, you're awake?" Hyengin's eyes flickered with nerves. She straightened up, stiffening, then let out a breath and sat down naturally. Suyo snapped out of her daze. She glanced at the jacket, with her beautiful peach-shaped eyes. It draped over my shoulders, but before I could speak, Kianjin stepped forward. "Look, you fell asleep at my place. If you catch a cold, you might think I passed my sickness to you." I couldn't help but chuckle at his clumsy excuse. "What are you laughing at?" "I'm laughing because someone clearly cares, but finds a million excuses to hide it." "Hey, I never said you. Why are you leaving?" "The trash is full. I'm taking it out." "You're sick, you should." I tried to snatch the bag from him, but Hyungjin dodged me and kept heading for the door. No need. After a nap, I felt much better. If I let him do everything, I'd feel useless. Suyo pouted and followed him. I'm taking out the trash. Why are you following me?" Hyungjin looked stunned. "I'm throwing it away." I pulled a tissue from my pocket and waved it. "There's a spot of dirt you just missed. Throw it in here." He opened the bag, and I shook my head. "No, I want to toss the trash I brought myself." You have space in your bag too. Why not let me use it?" Hyungjin looked shocked. It was the first time I'd seen someone fight over taking out the trash. At school, everyone tries to dodge chores. But with me and Hyungjin, why is it that everything is different? "Fine, follow if you want," he shrugged. Seeing his resigned expression, I couldn't help but smile in triumph. As we escaped, Hyungjin neared the door. Just as he reached for the handle, knocking echoed from outside, followed by Lu Boyan's voice. "Hyungjin? Are you in there?" Hyungjin's hand froze in midair. He spun around, eyes locked on me. "Who is it?" I whispered, curious. "My professor." "Hey, get in the bathroom now." A flash of nerves crossed his face. "Why do I have to hide?" I looked at his confused expression, completely stunned. "Why hide? Are you not afraid of being misunderstood?" Without time to explain, I grabbed his shoulders and shoved him toward the bathroom. "Hide well. Don't make a sound." Then I realized his cheeks were slightly flushed. What's going on? My own nerves clouded my mind, and I followed Hyungjin's gaze, realizing I'd been so flustered that I still had my hands on his shoulders. I pulled them back quickly. "I didn't do that on purpose," I stammered. "I know," he whispered. We stared at each other in silence. The knocking continued. "Hyungjin, are you there?" He immediately looked away. "One last thing, don't make a sound." Then I went to open the door. Seeing the bathroom door shut, I curled my lips and muttered, "Why is he so nervous?" I opened the room door, feigning surprise. "Professor Lu, what brings you here?" "I heard from Livin that you seemed sick and deathly pale, so I came to check on you." He smiled. "It's nothing. I took some med and I'm doing much better." "You don't look pale at all, actually." He looked me up and down, nodding. Then, he asked curiously, "What were you doing?" "I waited a long time for you to open the door." A flash of unease crossed my face. "I was sleeping," I said, rubbing my eyes. "Sorry, Professor, I must have been deep in sleep." He waved it off. "Since it's nothing serious, I'll be going now." "Professor, you must be tired from the trip. Why not come in and sit for a while?" "All right, I did come straight here, after hearing you were ill, so I am a bit tired." I'd only invited him out of courtesy. I didn't expect him to accept. Watching him walk into the room, I silently slapped my own forehead. "Hyungjin, those 2 sketches you did a few days ago really opened my eyes." As soon as he sat down, he looked at me with genuine admiration. When I first handed over those works of the ancient Farong town, he was truly surprised. Whether it was the composition, the colors, or the line work and texture, there wasn't a single flaw to be found. He couldn't imagine that such work could come from a high school student. "Honestly, if I had painted them, I couldn't have done it better," I replied humbly. "It's all thanks to your great teaching, Professor." He knew his own worth, of course, but said proudly, "You are the best student I've ever had. I knew you had great artistic talent from the start. I wasn't wrong." Seeing he had no intention of leaving, I found an excuse and went to wash a cup. "Professor, you must be thirsty. Let me get you some water." "No trouble, at all." I grabbed a cup and hurried to the bathroom. Just as I pushed the door open, I saw Hyungjin leaning against the sink, his slender figure, his beautiful smile looking at me. "Did he leave?" "Not yet. I might need you to hide in here a little longer." He shook his head, took the cup, and walked to the sink. "Could you move aside?" "Ask me nicely," he said with a smirk. Hyungjin, I stared into his eyes and whispered. He pouted, then extended a pale hand to take the cup. "Let me help you wash it." Before I could react, the cup was in his hands. In the end, I just said thanks. The bathroom was tight, and being so close to the sink, his lithe, curved figure was displayed without reserve before my eyes. Especially when he leaned over to wash the cup, those elegant curves made my heart race. Here he handed it back. "It's clean." I quickly looked away, feigning indifference, took the cup, and slipped out. Back in the room, he resumed chatting about art. After 30 minutes, he finally prepared to leave. The whole sequence of events happened so fast, I barely reacted when he pushed the bathroom door open. Professor Lu greeted, then froze. "What is going on here? Why is such a pretty girl hiding in the bathroom? And why does she look so familiar?" This is the most popular girl in the entire school, the one everyone votes for. Sometimes, when bored, he'd scroll through the school's confession wall to kill time, so he recognized the students who appeared there often. A top student, quiet and humble, yet she had somehow captured the heart of the school's most desired girl. After all, he already had after 30 years. After a brief surprise, Lu Boyan finally understood. Kianchi, college entrance exams are coming. You need to focus. Lu Boyan, no longer needing the restroom, gave a playful look and patted Kianchi on the shoulder. Teacher Lu, Kianchi tried to explain, but Lu Boyan cut him off. Some things a teacher doesn't need to say. You should understand. Kianchi stared at his retreating back, stunned. I have been hiding for 30 minutes. My legs ache from standing. Kianchi, you owe me. Jiao Yanan pouted and stepped out of the bathroom with her arms crossed. Jiang glanced at her, then grabbed the trash bag and left. Seeing Jiang ignore her question, Jiao Yanan did not press the issue. Her pale face brightened with a faint, helpless smile. Wait for me. I have trash to take out too. Let's go together. She pulled the napkin she had used earlier from her pocket and followed him. Downstairs, Kianchi ran into several art students returning home. They were stunned to see Jiao Yanan next to Kianchi, clearly not expecting her there. Then, as if realizing something, they looked at Kianchi with envy. Her presence alone said so much. The goddess of their hearts for 3 years of high school was now with Lufa-ken. Honestly, they felt a bit resentful. But seeing Kianchi's incredibly handsome face, they could only stay silent. Damn, how can he be so good-looking? Handsome. Kianchi was already tired of explaining. After tossing the trash, he headed back to his room. As for Jiao Yanan, passing those art students, she smiled, waved, and asked pointedly, Are you Kianchi's classmates? It was like marking her territory. Kianchi, are you afraid others will misunderstand our relationship? With a hint of worry in her eyes, Jiao Yanan feigned indifference. Kianchi returned to his room. He had just pulled out his drawing paper to set on the easel when her words froze him. The moment Lu Boyan knocked, he felt panicked inside. Even though nothing was going on with Jiao Yanan, he felt guilty. Yet meeting those art students downstairs had erased his panic. He even felt a secret joy. It was really strange. He couldn't grasp his own thoughts. Because of this, facing Jiao Yanan, Kianchi couldn't find an answer and chose silence. He placed the paper on the easel. Seeing this, Jiao Yanan's clear eyes flashed with disappointment. Was Kianchi afraid others would misunderstand that they were together? So did he just see her as a friend or less? Her chest ached. I still need to try harder. Jiao Yanan, don't laugh. Compared to his previous indifference, this was an improvement, right? Jiao Yanan took a deep breath and forced a smile. What will you draw? Why not draw me? Let me be your model. Kianchi suddenly remembered he had sketched Jiao Yanan while she slept, and he felt a pang of guilt. No need. He added paint to his palette and mixed colors to hide his nerves. Jiao Yanan wasn't surprised by his rejection. Her smile didn't fade. She pulled up a chair. Girls at school always rave about how pretty your art is, but they only see the final result, right? After today, it turns out I'm not the first one to watch you paint. I'm the girl who saw the whole process. Jiao Yanan's delicate face fell. She originally thought she was the first girl to see the entire process. Turns out she was too optimistic. Losing a first, even a small one, hurt. Kianchi looked at her, surprised. My mother. She didn't understand why Jiao Yan shifted from joy to sadness so quickly. Girls are truly weird. Oh, it's her? Then that's fine. Jiao Yanan sighed, relieved. Mom doesn't count. She was still the first girl. She brightened, then couldn't help asking, has any other girl seen it? Kianchi caught her expectant gaze and couldn't resist teasing her a bit. He nodded slightly and said,
Yes, there are more.
Jiao Yanan's face darkened. Kianchi watched her for a few seconds, then murmured, You. He dipped his brush into the palette and began painting on the paper. Hearing that, Jiao Yanan froze, then a radiant smile lit up her white, delicate face. She was still the first. Happiness. On the night of October 3rd, Jiao Yanan took the train to Henshin. Because Kianchi was sick during those 3 days of the national holiday, Jiao Yanan spent most of her time caring for him. Although she missed the scenery of Furan, she felt she lost nothing. After all, she had come to Furan for Kianchi. Walking the town didn't matter. The main point was seeing him and, if possible, sparking something between them. In fact, over those 3 days, they had become quite intimate. So much so that today, when she took the train, he was the one who accompanied her to the station. She almost didn't want to leave. She felt she had so much to tell Kianchi, but the train was departing. It was the last train to Henshin. Helplessly, she entered the station to go through security. Classes started the next day, and saying goodbye, she originally wanted to hug him, but feared being too bold and scaring him. So she chose a softer way, just waving goodbye. Early the next morning, Kianchi, as usual, woke up and knocked on the art students' doors one by one. After waking them, Kianchi went for breakfast. At the alley's breakfast shop, the students' gazes toward him were a bit strange. How to put it? A bit lascivious. In short, very weird. After 2 days of rest, his cold was gone. After eating porridge for 2 days, he didn't hesitate to choose spicy noodles with fried dough sticks. Before, he didn't think this combo was great, but today it was delicious. Exceptionally good. Just then, Kianchi's phone on the table rang. A message from Jiao Yanan. A photo of her breakfast. What are you eating today? Kianchi opened the photo. Milk, fried egg, sandwich. Quite a variety. Kianchi took a bite of a fried stick, dipped it into the spicy noodles, took a photo, and sent it. Yanan replied almost instantly. Your cold isn't fully cured, how can you eat greasy fried sticks? There was an angry emoji. Seeing her message, Kianjin couldn't help but murmur. You forced me to eat porridge for 2 days. Now that I'm better, what's wrong with a fried stick? Right? He said this while taking another bite. A bit proud. You aren't here to control me, are you? Yet, the very next second, Hoyanen's message rattled Hang Jin, shaking the pride he usually wore like armor. Should he ask for leave? Maybe he should go take care of you? No, my cold is already gone. A glass of milk sat on the table. I saw Hyung Jin's message and couldn't help but smile. As I sipped while messaging him, the glass was tilted just enough. A drop of white milk clung to her red plump lips, making her look even more tempting. Look how scared you got. Before, talking to Kianjin was a slow dance, 1 or 2 minutes per reply. But now, just because she offered to care for him, he replied instantly, startled. Am I really that scary? Suddenly, I wanted to see his face, to see him in person. Just then, Kianjin mid-bite into his noodles, got a video call invite from Juyanan. He froze. Why suddenly a video call? Kianjin was confused. They had never done this before. Yet right after she sent a text about her temperature at 36.3 degrees, Hoyanam called him directly. What the hell? He saw Hyung Jin wasn't picking up, so he sent another message. Nansenta Jianan, let me see your complexion, so I know if you're lying. Do I have to lie? Jianjin chuckled. He accepted the call. The first thing he noticed was the white milk still clinging to those plump red lips. Meanwhile, Hoyanan scanned his entire face. Maybe because it was their first video call, neither spoke. They just stared. That milk on her lips. It's milk, Jianjin thought. When can I call him like a boyfriend would? Hoyanan wondered. Why is she like a little girl? Even milk gets on her lips. Do handsome guys always look good on camera so handsome? Finally, Hyenan took the lead. You look fine, you didn't lie to me. Do I have to lie? Jinjin said, speechless. The smile on his face wouldn't fade. Stop laughing, help me think. Wait, I'm not done looking at you. Huyanan said what she thought, straight up. Hingjin made an interrogative face, then after 2 seconds, feigned calm. I didn't mean that. I wanted to see what you had for breakfast. Didn't I show you in the photo? I can't see it live, Hoyanan said proudly. You're asking too much. I'm hanging up. Without waiting, Hyungjin cut the call and couldn't stop the corners of his lips from curling up. 2 seconds later, Gyanan messaged. Namsenta Yanan, why did you hang up? Hands on her hips, Hyungjin thought, because I wanted to. Namsenta hello Hyanan, don't you want to see me? Could I devour you? Hyungjin pondered. Hyanan saw a cat sticker, thinking, got annoyed, and tossed the phone onto the table. She finished the milk in one gulp, then muttered confused. Am I being too obvious? Should I act colder? Nanjin Tajian, I'm heading to school first. Kianjin, Seeing that, Gyanan nearly collapsed. He acts cold, but the other one is even colder. Just an. She hoped for something sweet, like take care on the way. Huyanan pouted, then glanced at the clock. 6:30. Damn, next class. She hadn't even cleared the breakfast. She grabbed her bag, threw on her coat, and bolted out. She'd been so focused on Hang Jin that time just flew. Please don't let it be the teacher on duty at the gate. For days Hyungjin and Suwon stayed in constant contact on WeChat, but one detail bothered him. Every time he sent an to agree, for some reason, Suwon would slowly stop replying. That afternoon, after class, Suwon grabbed Lu's arm. Under the amazed stares of the guys, they left. Kingen, so annoying. On a path lined with camphor trees, Suyeon rested her head on Luan's shoulder and pouted. What's wrong? Luan asked, stroking her head. It's all because of Hyungjin. Suwon leaned closer, annoyed. Damn, you two don't get along? Every time you talk about Hyungjin, that smile is impossible to hide, Luan teased. Suwon groaned and explained. Hyungjin doesn't talk much, right? That's why I look for topics to chat. And you know what? He just says, I don't know how to keep it going. Hearing this, Luan couldn't stop laughing. What do I do? Suwon asked, distressed. Jianjin is painting outdoors. I can only use WeChat to strengthen our bond. I didn't expect him to be such a bad conversationalist. I'm dying of laughter. Xiaoyan, this is hard for you. Luan stroked her hair, the smile on her face uncontrollable. Don't laugh. Help me think of something fast. Let me think. Luan tried to stop laughing, then massaged her chin, pondering. I have an idea. What idea? Since he can't talk, make him look for you. But I'm always the one chasing. Don't worry, trust me, Luan said confidently. Under Suyeon's expectant gaze, she whispered 2 words. Seduction. In the dance studio, Suwon wore a bun, a black tank top showing her waist, white collarbones, and a sharp line of abdominal muscles visible below. She wore tight dance leggings, leaning back on the glossy floor, her long-toned legs tensed, tracing an elegant curve. Okay, you're too conservative. Why not try other poses like this? Luan put the phone down and sat in an 8 shape. Seeing this, Suwon blushed and hesitated, whispering, won't it be too obvious? Not at all. Guys love this. Luan moved towards Suwon and lowered her strap. Suwon grabbed her hand, fearing it would slip off her shoulder completely. Look, Xiaoyuan, if you don't show a little, how will you hook Jianjin into taking initiative? Luan pulled her hand back, then tugged the strap again, making it look like a natural slide. Kingen, this isn't right. Luan ignored the blushing Suwon and patted her long legs, signaling her to match the pose she'd just done. Kingen, Suwon whispered finally, under Luan's look that said, trust me, she adopted the sitting pose. So embarrassing. Yes, just like that. Luan, satisfied, stepped back several paces and grabbed the phone. Today she prepared for the shot. Ivan stood there, face flushed, head tilted with shy grace. Her legs formed a perfect figure eight. The tight dance leggings pulled taut, tracing such tempting curves that anyone watching would feel their hearts start to race. If this photo leaked, Lewin was certain the guys would lose their minds. What a waste for Hyungjin. Better not take it, Lewin muttered. Especially at the mention of Hyungjin, she spoke with urgency. Kingin, you had better take that photo. Lu curled her lip in a fake smile, staying tense. You are such a fool, Kingin. What are you thinking? Take the picture fast. I do not get you. Seconds ago you refused, and now you changed your mind? Kingin, do you think Hyungjin will even like this stuff? Of course he will. Even as a girl I feel drawn to it. What if she thinks I am a loose girl? What will I do? She wouldn't dare. After dance class, Heo Yanan headed home, restless. Seeing 5 or 6 new photos in her phone album, her cheeks turned a soft pink. Then, she took a breath and posted a WeChat moment visible only to Kianjin. Afterward, she tossed her phone onto the sofa and ran to the bathroom. As for Jianjin, he was doing his usual rounds, checking one by one that the team members were in their rooms. Passing a double room, he heard laughter from inside. The sound of someone sharply sucking in air caught his attention. What are they doing in there? Hyungjin frowned, pressing the door handle down. The 2 art students swung the door open, nervous. They hid their phones, looking at Hyungjin with guilty expressions. What are you doing? Hyungjin asked, confused. Nothing. The 2 art students glanced at each other. Seeing them like this, Jianjin said nothing, just watched in silence. Finally, the student with short messy hair could not take it anymore. He stepped toward Hyungjin, looking awkward. Hyungjin, do you like leg photos? Hyungjin seemed not to fully grasp what he was saying, face filled with confusion. Seeing this, the short-haired student grinned and pulled the phone he had hidden behind his back. These cost me quite a bit of money. Do you want them? One word and I will send you the link directly. Hyungjin looked at the phone with curiosity, then with an uncomfortable look said, better not look at them. And he turned to leave. Such good material and Hyungjin doesn't want it? The short student was a bit surprised. Come on, didn't you see Heo Yanan with Hyungjin a few days ago? The way they looked, surely they are already together. I already imagined Jin could not resist Heo Yanan's persistence and would fall at her feet. And so it was. Besides, she is so pretty and has such a nice body, only a fool would reject her. The other art students stood up from the bed, patted the short-haired one's shoulder and said with envy, I don't get it. Heo Yanan is so beautiful. Why is he so set on Hyungjin? Just because he is handsome? Well, yes, he is handsome. If you were that handsome, you would have a girlfriend already. You would not have to hide every night in the dorm to see these things. Go on. Get out. The short-haired boy swatted the hand off his shoulder, then looked at the photos on the phone, uncomprehending. Such good material and he does not want it. What a fool. Jin already has Heo Yanan, the prettiest girl on campus. Why does he need to see things he cannot have? Isn't it better to take action directly? Besides, Heo Yanan is a dancer. With all her flexibility, the possibilities are endless. Stop. You are making me envious. Fine, I am going to watch 200 more photos to vent. You have stuff saved? Let's watch together. These socks. First time I see them. They have a hole in the middle. When Hyungjin returned to his room, he leaned against the door and let out a huge sigh of relief. Even though it had only been a quick glance, the racy photos he had seen remained etched in his mind. It turns he headed to the bathroom to wash up, then collapsed onto the bed. Habit kicked in. He opened his chat history with Heo Yanan. No new messages. He started scrolling up, scanning through their past talks. Strange. Usually by 10, Yanan was already spamming his WeChat. What happened today? It was 10:30 now, and he forced himself not to reach out. After reviewing their recent chats and seeing nothing new, Hyungjin typed 2 words into the bar. Just 2. Then, he deleted them. He tossed his phone onto the quilt, closed his eyes for a moment, then grabbed it again. Still nothing from Yanan. No message. He knew it was coming, honestly. If there were a notification, his phone would have chimed. So why did he keep checking? Pure hope mixed with annoyance. What the hell is he even doing? For the first time, Hyungjin felt a flicker of real interest. He tapped into Yanan's WeChat feed. His eyes widened slightly. He clicked the first photo, then the second, then the third. Hyungjin studied the post Yanan had shared. 10 minutes ago, he took a deep breath. These photos weren't flashy or wild like the ones of that golden sky. They were somehow more magnetic. Especially those long legs, taut in that tight dance outfit. Not an inch of skin exposed, yet they were captivating. Hyungjin stared. He double-tapped to like it, then froze. He quickly unliked it. Yanan was toweling off his wet hair, walking out of the bathroom. Freshly scrubbed, his face carried a soft, charming flush. With his long, rounded legs peeking out from under his nightgown, it was impossible to look away. Ugh! Yanan sat on the sofa, feeling 3 parts nervous and 7 parts hopeful, as he grabbed his phone. A second later, his expression dropped. The hope vanished. He frowned, pouting. Is Hyunjin's method even going to work? Yanan grabbed a cushion, covered his face, shook it for a few seconds, then tossed it aside. Maybe Hyunjin didn't even see the post. Yeah, that has to be it. I'll just wait a bit longer, he told himself. He stood up, grabbed the eye dryer, and went to work on his damp hair. 5 minutes later, he was back on the couch. What if Hyunjin never looks at moments? He pouted, whispering to himself in frustration. Yanan spun the phone in his hand, lost in thought. If Hyunjin isn't checking, then waiting is useless. Why am I doing this? Why? If I want him to make a move, I might just have to do what I always do, reach out first. Yanon sighed. Hey Hyunjin, my math teacher singled me out again today. I really don't get math, but he always picks on me to answer. Another day of total embarrassment. Meanwhile, after seeing Yanon's post, Hyunjin went to the bathroom and splashed his face with cold water twice. What does it mean? He's documenting his routine, but Yanon never used to post on moments. Hyunjin kept wondering. Today Hyojin went to the bathroom to wash her face twice. Why did Hyeoyeon post this? She usually never shares Hyojin's daily routine like this. It makes me wonder what she's really trying to say. Why did she post that moment? Images of her kept flashing in my mind, and my mood just soured. I was done speculating about her WeChat post. Doesn't everyone see it anyway? Yet, for some reason I couldn't stop thinking about other guys seeing those photos. How many male friends does she actually have? I clenched my fist, annoyed. Just then, a notification popped up. It was her. I dove into the chat, read her long message, and replied. Maybe your math teacher isn't picking on you, but trying to push you to improve your grades? Her reply came back in seconds. She clearly thought she knew better. Apparently, I hadn't seen her post. You are too protected. You haven't seen how cruel the world is. The teacher laughed at me when I couldn't answer. Are you sure? That old man looked stoic, but I bet he was smiling. He was so serious, but then she got distracted. I found her tone so irritating. She sent a resentful message. He scolded me. It's so unfair. I wanted to ask how many guys she had on WeChat, but couldn't bring myself to say it. I just typed back. Oh. She threw her phone onto the couch in a rage. My frustration is clear and he just gives me an oh? What does that even mean? I can't even carry a conversation with him. I punched my cushion, fuming. Forget it. Not 2 minutes later, I grabbed the phone again. A message from him. Can I ask you a question? I was stunned. If you don't want to, it's fine. I couldn't believe he was finally taking the initiative. I hurried to reply, terrified he might pull back. This was the first time he'd ever actually initiated a topic. Maybe he realized he's terrible at talking and was trying. I was honestly curious. You can ask me anything. I sent a smiley face. He took a deep breath, ready with a fake excuse. How many guys do you have on WeChat? My professor needs data for a project about gender ratios. I was shocked. I never expected him to ask something like this. If he's starting to engage, I'm happy. A gender ratio study? How creative. I rested my chin on my hand, thinking it over. He stared at his phone, waiting. Dozens of seconds passed. When I didn't reply, he started to panic. He typed, if this is annoying, I'll just ask someone else. Ask someone else? I glared at those words. He's planning to ask other girls? How many does he even know? I pounded my screen in a rage and fired back. More than 100. I had hoped she'd say she only had 1 or 2, like family. But that number? Over 100? My face went pale. Over 100 guys? Then I realized all those photos she posts are seen by them. I felt even worse. If I'd known, I wouldn't have asked. I tossed my phone away, closing my eyes, trying to sleep off the ache. When he didn't reply, I realized something. A smile crept onto my lips. He's just jealous. I was so happy but didn't want to push it. I had to clarify before he misunderstood. Just kidding. I only have 3 guys. My dad, my little brother, and the one chatting with me right now. I couldn't stop picturing those photos being seen by so many guys. A tight pressure weighed on my chest. Sleep was impossible. Then the screen lit up again. I hesitated, but grabbed the phone anyway. The surprise hit me like a tornado. I read her message, and that heavy weight in my chest simply vanished. She only shares those moments with family? Then there's no problem. I didn't even realize I was being possessive. I was just relieved. I'm the only guy on her list? I'll finish my painting in 2 days, I promised. I was in such a good mood I couldn't sleep. I sat up, started typing, deleted it, and settled on 1 word. I typed, oh. She waited for a real response and got a single word. I grabbed my cushion and beat it again. What is wrong with him? After a few more hits, I tossed it aside. I knew he just didn't know how to talk. He was trying to start a conversation. That was all. I'm tired. I'm really tired. Knowing I was the only man on her list besides her family, I felt energized, not tired at all. She said she's tired, so I shouldn't bother her. I stared at the screen, murmuring to myself. I replied considerately, if you're tired, get some sleep. I'm going to turn in early. I laughed in frustration, got up, and walked to the fridge for cold water. I only said I was tired because I was annoyed by his 1-word reply. How did he not get that? It is pointless expecting Hyunjin to catch my hints. Subtlety is completely lost on him. Suyoan sipped her water, smiling faintly. Was he annoyed? He rolled his eyes. Does he think I am too superficial? Hyunjin muttered doubtfully, then immediately chuckled. That cat eye rolling emoji is cute. Just then Hyunjin realized something. Suyeon always uses cat emojis. Does she like them? Back at the seaside park, I built a small shelter for a stray cat. I visited often to try and win it over. But then the cleaning lady tore it down. I went back to the park several times, but the cat was gone. I really missed that cat, its fuzzy head and the feel of my hand on its fur. Snapping back, Hyunjin rarely initiated, but sent a goodnight to Hoyeon. Seeing the text, Hoyeon downed the rest of her cold water. She tossed her phone onto the sofa and collapsed, feeling drained. I took those photos specifically for Hanchi, but he never checks my posts. I still want him to see them. I can't let them go to waste. 30 seconds later, Hoyeon withdrew those photos. I'm sorry, I meant to send them to Inan. I made a mistake. Hoyan didn't want the photos to lose their impact. She didn't want to seem too eager, so she used this trick. She wasn't worried about whether Hanchi had seen them. She had timed it perfectly. As long as Hanchi wasn't asleep, he would see them. Hanchi didn't exit the chat immediately. He scrolled through their history a few times. He saw the photos Hoyan sent right away. At first he wondered why she would send them if she wasn't sleepy. But the retraction and the excuse made Hanchi realize something instantly. Hoyan didn't post those moments to record her day. She did it specifically for him to see. Hanchi didn't reply, but a faint smile appeared. Is she asleep? Hoyan felt nervous and expectant. After staring at her phone for a few minutes, she mumbled to herself. Mid-October at Hancheng Station, Hoyan wore a youthful outfit. A white baseball cap covered her long hair, and half her face was hidden, but one could tell she must be stunningly beautiful. Her tall figure and radiant aura were eye-catching. Standing in the crowd, she was easy to spot. Why hasn't Haiyan come out yet? Through a bit of digging, she had finally gotten Hanchi's flight time, planning a surprise. It had been over half an hour past his arrival. She still hadn't seen him. She grew impatient, wondering if she had missed him. After all, it shouldn't take more than 30 minutes to deboard. The train had been delayed 10 minutes. Hanchi, Luboyan, and others were currently queuing at the security checkpoint by the exit. So ended this lovely sketching trip. How damn annoying. And tomorrow I have to go back to the daily grind. Kill me, I am exhausted. Hien waited a few more minutes. Seeing no sign of Hanchi, she silently pulled out her phone. It seems Hanchi has already left. She had wanted to surprise him and felt a sting of disappointment. Just as she was about to ask him, an unknown force made him lift his head toward the exit. The moment he looked up, his refined face was fully revealed to the air. Clear, bright pupils, willow-curved brows, and long lashes trembling slightly. Her flawless white skin had a faint pink flush. Her lips were thin, tender, and tempting like rose petals. Hanchi! She beamed and waved from afar. Phew, I didn't miss him. Hanchi had just left the station. He must be surprised to see me, right? Brother, she thought happily. Huyen was truly dazzling. As soon as Hanchi exited, he saw her. Hanchi felt a complex surge of emotions. There was surprise for a moment. He was frozen in place. His professor and classmates beside him were stunned too. Luboyan glanced for a few seconds at the beautiful girl in the distance, then gave Hanchi a look that said, dude, not bad. The expressions on the art students' faces were far more complex. Envy, jealousy, surprise, and resentment all appeared at once. In that instant, Hoyan had run from afar to stand in front of Hanchi. Surprised, she blinked and lifted her small hand, her beautiful fingers wiggling back and forth. A little? Hanchi touched his nose. It is not even the weekend. Huyen had taken leave to come pick him up. He really had not expected this. He hadn't seen Huyen in days, and she had so much to tell him. But with so many classmates watching, she didn't know what to say. She looked at Hanchi in a rush. Though they chatted on WeChat, Hanchi was a conversation killer. Hoyan simply could not keep the talk flowing, so she had a lot bottled up. Since over 30 people were on the trip, Luboyan had coordinated with the staff to organize a school bus. Hanchi had originally planned to take the bus, but the appearance of Huyen, I am heading off first. The strange stares from his classmates made Hanchi feel a bit awkward, so he told Luboyan, go, stay safe on the road. Luboyan gave a strange smile. After getting the answer, Hanchi looked at Huyen, pushed his suitcase, and headed toward the taxi stand. Seeing this, Huyen first waved goodbye to his professors and classmates. Then, with a barely contained smile, she caught up. Hanchi, you have been on the bullet train for 4 hours. You must be exhausted, right? If you keep acting like this, I am going back to take the school bus. Did I scare you? The art students watched their backs as they joked and walked away, gradually falling into silence. At the taxi stand, due to the incredible physical attractiveness of both Hanchi and Hoyan, people waiting nearby kept glancing over again and again. Hanchi, remember that good pizza place near school? I remember it a bit. Then how about we go try it this weekend? Hoyan leaned slightly closer to Hanchi and asked with expectation. Feeling the soft scent emanating from him, Hanchi's eyelid twitched slightly. Feigning faint calm, he said, I have to see if I have time. Hoyan disappointment washed over me. Wasn't Hyanchai's hesitant reply just a polite rejection? This was my first time asking him out off campus. It couldn't end in failure. That pizza place is incredible. People from Xianxin never lie, Hoyanen said with total sincerity, giving Hyanchi a cheeky wink as he watched him. Hyanchi almost chuckled, then he repeated what I'd just said. I have to check if I'm free. Just as Hyanen's bright gaze began to dim, he added, actually, I'll likely have time. So consider it a date. I caught that radiant smile lighting up his face, and a faint involuntary smile appeared on Hyanchi's own pale features. Just then, the taxi I had called pulled slowly into the pickup zone. Where are you sitting? He asked after tossing my suitcase into the trunk. Hoyanen thought for a second, then pointed to the back seat. Back there. I chose the back with a little agenda. After all, if I sat in the passenger seat, I couldn't be next to Yanchi. But the back isn't the safest. Yanchi nodded, understanding, and reached for the front door handle, preparing to take the passenger seat. Seeing this, Huyanan rushed to shout, Yanchi, wait! What's wrong? Yanchi asked, frozen with his hand on the door, looking confused. Huyanan smiled sheepishly. I couldn't tell him. I want to sit with you. So after thinking for a few seconds, I blurted out an excuse. It's just not safe. Both Yanchi and the driver stared at us. Hoyanin felt that lie was pretty ridiculous, so after a moment of silence I tried a more plausible one. I saw a short video saying the front seat is only for a wife or girlfriend. Wouldn't it be inappropriate? A wife? Where had Hoyanin even seen that video? Besides, how many people has this taxi driver had sitting up there? There's definitely no such rule. Seeing Yanchi still puzzled, Hoyanin grabbed his arm and pulled him toward the back. Why are you standing there? Get in! Once inside, Hoyanin naturally pulled my hand away from his arm. Driver, let's go please, I shouted toward the front. Hoyanin, can you explain why the passenger seat isn't safe? Yanchi asked, bewildered. The driver even tilted his head to listen. Hoyanin felt a flicker of awkwardness, then took a deep breath. What I said about the front seat, it's really only for a girlfriend or wife. Actually, there's more. I paused, then added, there was this girl who found out a stranger was sitting in her husband's passenger seat. Guess what happened? She rounded up a whole group of people and beat them both up. So, Yanchi, tell me, is it safe or not? Hoyanin lowered my voice, intentionally creating a terrifying atmosphere. However, Yanchi, after hearing that, let out a rare laugh. The driver shook his head, also chuckling. Yanchi, honestly I know, but what are you laughing at? Could it be that the one in the passenger seat was the mistress? Who knows? The point is, it's dangerous, Hoyanin insisted. In reality, these were all excuses I'd invented to get Yanchi into the back. Hoyanin, do you think I'm a kid? Why ask that? I'm just curious. You're definitely not a kid. You're clearly a handsome guy. As I spoke, I kept leaning closer to Yanchi. At first, there was a whole seat of space between us, but with every sentence I said, the distance shrank. At first, Yanchi didn't notice. When that pleasant, familiar, soft scent finally enveloped him, it was too late. Hoyanin had already moved in. Our shoulders were barely 2 centimeters apart, almost touching. Did I do that on purpose? Yanchi's eyelid twitched slightly, and he muttered to himself. Hoyanin acted like nothing had happened. I kept sharing funny school stories with Yanchi with a radiant smile. However, Yanchi's attention clearly wasn't on school stories, but on other things, so his responses were pretty shallow. Because today, Hoyanin was wearing blue denim shorts. Those long, fair, dazzling legs were shamelessly exposed to Yanchi's view. Yanchi didn't intend to stare at Hoyanin's tempting legs, but we were too close, and his peripheral vision kept drifting toward that flash of white. Since you easily beat me 6-0 last time, you don't play badminton with me anymore. I desperately need a partner. Think about it, we have PE class tomorrow morning. Hoyanin's beautiful peach blossom eyes, slightly pouting, looked toward the window with anticipation. But after waiting a few seconds, I didn't get a response, so I turned my head in confusion. Just then the taxi took a sharp turn. Hoyanin didn't have time to react and slammed violently into Yanchi. The next instant when I finally reacted, my face had already crashed into Yanchi's leg. Yanchi was stunned. The tingling sensation on his thigh made him look down involuntarily, and what he saw was dark, shiny, messy hair. After a few seconds, seeing Hoyanin's head still buried in his leg, a flicker of slight discomfort crossed Yanchi's face. Are you okay? Hearing his voice so close to my ear, I hesitated for 2 seconds and hurriedly lifted my head. Then I tucked some messy strands behind my ear and shook my head, blushing slightly. I'm fine. We looked at each other, not knowing what the other was thinking for a moment. Nobody spoke. Then we turned our heads to look out the window. On the way to the house in the neighborhood, the taxi was exceptionally quiet. Hoyanin and Yanchi weren't talking, but our heartbeats drummed incessantly in our chests. 20 minutes later, Yanchi opened the car door, grabbed the suitcase from the trunk, and prepared to enter the complex. However, at that moment, Hoyanin also got out. Yanchi was slightly stunned for a second. The thought crossed his mind, could she be coming to my place? Hoyanin, of course, noticed the confusion in Yanchi's eyes, so I found some random excuse, shrugged and said with a smile, I just need to buy something around here. As I spoke, I took a quiet look at the surroundings and memorized the words house and neighborhood in my mind. A flash of surprise crossed Yanchi's face. Buy something? Yeah, just some daily essentials, Hoyanin said, expressionless. Isn't there a supermarket where he lives? An absurd thought jumped into Yanchi's mind. If there's nothing else, I'm heading in first. Seeing that Yanchi only asked out of politeness, and had no intention of continuing the conversation, I forced a smile. In reality, I got out of the car on purpose with 2 goals. First, to know where Yanchi lived. Second, I wanted more time with him. After all, we hadn't seen each other in over 10 days. Those 30 minutes in the taxi weren't enough. I wanted to be with him, even if we didn't talk, just looking at him was enough. I had barely taken 2 steps when Yanchi's voice sounded close to my ear. Hoyanin? I was stunned, then turned my head with a joyful surprise. What's wrong? Wait up for a second, let me join you, Yanchi said, feigning calm just as Hoyanin turned to leave. For some reason, his heart skipped a beat. He felt a bit guilty. Yanan had taken the day off just to pick him up from the station. It wouldn't be right to show no appreciation. Yanchi, are you okay? You doing all right? Hoyanan's clear eyes glowed with such radiance. Inside, Yanchi felt a spark, but his expression stayed icy and indifferent. First, I'll drop my bag at the security booth. No rush. You could leave the luggage at home first and come back, Yanan suggested considerately. No need, Yanchi blurted out. Entering and exiting the complex would take 10 minutes. He didn't want Yanan waiting that long. As for why he wouldn't invite her inside, he feared what his mother would think if he brought such a pretty girl home. So Yanan, shouldn't we go shopping for essentials? At the supermarket, Jinchi played assistant, pushing the cart for Heo Yanan. They wandered the snack aisles, and Yanan seemed to be in high spirits. She kept smiling the entire way. Every time she tossed a pack of snacks into the cart, she told Jianchi exactly why they were delicious. From afar, they looked like a young couple. The boy pushing the cart, the girl glancing back, laughing and joking with her boyfriend. Jianchi, I'm telling you, this choco bar is incredible. I ate 3 whole boxes during a late-night binge last time. And these yogurt strawberry cookies are amazing too. Heo Yanan tossed one snack after another into the cart. Then tilting her head, she asked expectantly, is there any snack you like, or any drink? Heo Yanan grabbed a bottle of Sprite, pressed it to her cheek, and shook her head. No? A trace of disappointment flickered across her face, as if she had spotted something. She quickly grabbed a pack of almonds from the nut shelf. When she got another negative answer from Jianchi, her raised eyebrows finally knitted together. How could Jianchi not like anything? After an entire lap, Jianchi was feeling tired, unlike the excited Heo Yanan. The last time he went shopping with his mother, he vowed never to return. He hadn't imagined a trip to the supermarket would be this exhausting. Looking at the cart full of snacks, he wanted to ask Yanan, so are snacks what you call daily essentials? Just as she pushed the cart toward the checkout line,